Namaskaram, everybody. Srimatre Namaha. Thank you for joining. Let's begin. Om Bijapuragadekshakarmakurajapchakrabjapashotpala Vryagraswapishanratnakalashaif Prodhyatkaramburvaha Deyo Vallabhaya Sapadmakaraya Ashlishtojvaladbhushaya Vishwotpatti Vipatti Samsatikaro Vignesha Ishtardada श्रीनाथादिगुरुत्रयं गणपतिं पीठत्रयं भैरवं सिद्धौघं वटुकत्रयं पदयुगं दूतीक्रमं मण्डलं वीरान्ध्यष्टचतुष्कषष्टिनवकं वीरावळीपञ्चकं श्रीमन्मालिनीमन्त्रराजसहितं वन्दे गुरोर्मण्डलम् माधर्मे मधुकैटभग्निमहिषः प्राणापहारोऽध्यमे हेलनिर्मितम्रलोचनवदे हे चण्डमुण्डर्दिनी निःशेषे कृतरक्तबीजदनुजे नित्ये निशुम्भापहे शुम्भध्वंसिनि संहर सुदुरितन् दुर्गे नमस्तेऽम्बिके सर्वं श्रीचण्डी महालक्ष्मी श्रीपादुकां पूजयामि तर्पयामि नमः सद्गुरुं श्रीपादुकां पूजयामि तर्पयामि नमः Welcome all of you once again. I can see some happy faces. Some of them are here where like I'm welcoming all of you. So today, as promised in the bridge course, we are introducing Kashi Mahima. And today, particularly, I'm going to narrate the Kashi Mahatmyam and particularly the pastime or what the Purana is talking about, the origins of Chitragupta. Why did Chitragupta came into existence and what Kashi Mahatmyam is talking about Chitragupta. Before we get into Chitragupta, let me kind of give you a brief introduction about Kashi. It is said in the Kashi Mahatmyam that the world came to an existence, and when the moment the existence was decided, even the end has been decided, it seems. Anything that begins have an end actually. And science also accepts the fact that, that the world definitely is going to have an expiry date. And there are various speculations that are taking place, like when it can be possible. And according to the Shastras, we understand the fact that this is the last yuga out of the 4 yugas, correct? There are 4 yugas. You all know that. And this is which yuga? Treta Yuga, correct? This is Satya Yuga, correct? We are all in Satya Yuga. Wow, it sounds so good actually, seriously. We are in Kali Yuga, the final of the Yuga. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and then finally it is Kali Yuga. And it is believed that it has been around 5,000 years plus. Kali Yuga has been in place, and Kali started from the time when Krishna departed. From at that moment on, Kali came into existence. And we have understood this in our Devi Bhagavatam Durga Vijayam session, like which I clearly explained, and you all enjoyed that session as how Bhagavatam came into existence as a savior. Once Krishna departed, how this entire mankind can be saved actually, and that was actually Bhagavatam came into existence so that this Bhagavatam can help to cross over the seas of this knee signs of this material world. So moving forward, so this is recognized by the Shastras that this world is going to come to an end. And when the world is going to come to an end, then all the storehouse of what is called as the energy in terms of creation or recreating, because we know that there is an aspect of what is called as the creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And then we have 2 more concepts in Tantra and Sri Vidya, where Devi is performing Tirodhanam and then Anugraham. So all these require what is called as a storehouse of energy, actually. And these storehouse of energies are generally said it is there in the Sapta Moksha Puri. Sapta Moksha Puris in our Bharata Desham. Now, I'm not going to tell you the names of what is a Sapta Moksha Puri. You do some Googling and research it. Actually, what are the seven Moksha Puris? One Moksha Puri is my very favorite. It is Kanchi, actually. Kanchi is the one of the Moksha Puri. So, so the Shastram is talking about different storehouses where these energies will be there, and from there, again, the life is going to sprout. And in that, the primary space is Kashi, it seems. Kashi has been an eternal city that it has survived all the yugas. And this has been even accepted in certain archaeological readings that they are not very sure about the carbon dating or the existence of certain spaces or spots in Kashi actually. So it means that it has been since time immemorial, certain spaces in Kashi have been existing. So, which automatically means, according to what Kashi Mahatmyam is saying, that once the entire life is coming to an end, so that the end is not the ultimate aspect, but there is a beginning there. Like similarly, what you read in today's very interesting reading, which I published on the Mahanityas of Kali, actually, because we already, South India, particularly in South India, we have this concept that don't do anything in Amavasya, actually. And many of you have kind of written on that aspect, like thinking that Amavasya or the auspicious or the days associated in those 15 days, generally, we don't have to do anything, actually. And those that the paksham, the paksha tithis that falls in the Amavasya is generally considered to be something for pariharam, like they say that the Teipirai Ashtami, the in the Ashtami that comes in the Amavasya cycle, it is considered to be you are doing some pariharam actually, like that. There are different dimensions are there, but why it is actually? There is what is called as a fear, there is what is called as a rejection, there is something called as an expectation that is there in these cycles, but we are subduing them actually. So today's article, I explained it in the sense, why is Mahakali's Tithi Nityas are in the waning stages of the moon, and what they actually represent, particularly for somebody who wants to do sadhana, who wants to understand the altered dimensions of this world and yourself and the consciousness that is existing, what it actually means for us. And similarly, that the same concept is explained here actually. Though life is coming to an existence, but is really everything is coming to an existence, it is not actually. The storehouse of all the consciousness is getting placed in a particular place, and that space, the predominant space, according to the Shastras and according to the Kashi Mahatmya, is Kashi. Because from there, it seems after the dissolution and after what is called as the Tirodhanam, the Anugraham starts from these Moksha Puris, specifically from Kashi. When we are talking about Kashi, Kashi is considered to be the fort of the Kaladeva, the fort of the Kaladeva. What is Kaladev? Kaladev means the Dev who is representing time. And that time, though it is very specific to Kashi, Kashi Mahatmyam is saying that it is very specific to Kashi because the Kala Dev, who's called to be, in other words, our Bhairavasi, it is so beautiful. In the north of the India, everybody is celebrating Bhairava Jayanti. Actually, in the South India, we don't have Bhairava Jayanti now. And how beautifully our Kashi Mahima, though we didn't plan, it just spontaneously it happened that I wanted to, because it was already planned that the Kashi Mahatmyam should be spoken. And today it was Sankalpam of Devi herself that this Kashi Mahatmyam lecture is happening on the eve of Bhairava Jayanti, actually. That is the beauty of the blessings of the divine, for all of us in our Mahavidyalaya. So when we are talking about Kashi, though we have what is called as Kashi Vishwanathar, Kashi Vishalakshi, Annapurni, on all other aspects. But the most important aspect the Mahatmyam describes is about Bhairavar, actually, the Kala Bhairava Swami, who is so central to the entire Mahatmyam of Kashi. Because it is because of the presence of Bhairavar, or rather, Bhairavar has made Kashi has his living space. He has chosen that to be a living space. And as I said, the Kashi Mahatmya is saying it doesn't mean that Swami is only in Kashi. Swami is there in everywhere. And particularly this Bharata Desham is considered to be a dharma bhumi, karma bhumi, jnana bhumi. That is what Kashi Mahatmya is saying. But Kashi Mahatmya is saying that it is very specific. Like, we travel to so many places, but we have our own home actually. And that home for Bhairava Swami is Kashi actually. And because Bhairavar has made it to be his space of living, that is his chosen space of living, though he is a Ugramurti, but in specifically in Kashi, he's a Anugrahamurti. He's a Anugrahamurti. And it seems that in Kashi, when you have the anugraham of Bhairava Swami, then you can, what is called as, you can cross over this material existence, in a very easy manner. In other words, the Punarapi Maranam and the Punarapi Jananam that we are constantly caught into actually, and we are not able to get out of it, it is very easy for us to get over it. And the Kashi Mahatmyam very clearly says to us that because of the presence of Bhairavar and how this Bhairavar is coming into existence, if I have to, if I have to put it in a 2, 3 sentences, it seems that when the Devatas, you remember in our Lalita Sahasranamam introduction, we were speaking about how Devi came into existence because of the atrocities of which demon? Tell me the name. I'm opening the chat box. Let's make it a bit interactive. What is the name of the demon whom the Devatas wanted to get rid of and they wanted to perform the... And what is the line in the Lalita Sahasranamam? Okay, I got it. Tell me the line in the Lalita Sahasranamam. One line reference from Lalita Sahasranamam. Banda Surendra Nirmukta. Nirmuktam. Great. Vadotyukta. That is a famous line. Correct. Bhandasura Vadhotyukta. Who went? Shakti Sena Samanvita. Who is that Shakti Sena? We will be looking into in our Lalita Sahasranamam lectures, which is going to start the next month as a part of your second semester course. Shakti Sena, who are this Shakti Sena actually? That is something very interesting. We will be talking about it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. So to get rid of Bhandasura, because he was one of the most powerful, he became one of the most powerful individual as compared to even the Trimurtis. It was very difficult because of the Varapradhanam that he had. So when the Devatas were performing the Agni Karyam, and what is that Agni Karyam called as? Okay, fine. It might be a little technical. You have to understand, I guess. What was that Kundam? The Agni Kundam was called as. Again, the chat box. What was the Agni Kundam? Rajeshwari Amma, you know it actually. Gayatri, you know it. Lalita Ma, you know it. You are all thinking as, yes, exactly. Chidagni Kundam. Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta Devakarya Samudhyata. So that Kundam, that Agni Kundam was designed and or it was named as Chidagni Kundam because it was not an ordinary Agni. Chidagni. Why it was called as Chidagni? Because the Devatas have offered their soul into the Agni, it seems. That's the reason it is Chid Agni. Chid means what? The consciousness. They have offered their consciousness, and it was not something merely fire that was burning, it seems. And in that Chidagni, what they were offering, do you remember? They were offering their body parts itself. They were cutting and offering their body parts as ahutis, it seems, because Devi have to become and to come. And the Kashi Mahatmya is saying who was the lead of this yajna? It was Sakshat Mahadeva was the lead of this yajna, and since he performed this Chidagni Karyam, he was called to be Bhairavar. That is what the Mahatmyam is talking about. You see how beautifully it is connecting? Yes. So Parameshwara, being the lead to perform the Agni Karyam from where Devi came out, that is the Chidagni, that aspect of Parameshwara is considered to be, or called to be, or known to be in Shastras as Kala Bhairavar. Because though they were invoked, that is the reason if you see in any of the Shakti Kshetras, or Shiva Kshetras, specifically Shakti Kshetras, though Devi is very, very powerful, but in that very powerful space, somebody has to protect that space actually. Who is that person? Bhairavar is the individual actually. So even in that Chidakni Kundam, all the Devatas were present and the Agni Karyam is happening and everything. But who was the lead? Who was the security, the top's official security, who was the in charge? It was Sakshat Parameshwara, who was taken the manifestation of to be known as Bhairavar, Kala Bhairavar. And why it is specifically Kala Bhairavar, students? Because the Agni Karyam had to go what is called as a time travel, actually. You understand? Because the Agni Karyam had to go beyond the time travel for bringing down Parambika, actually, because they didn't have much time, actually. The Devatas did not have much time, and it is not easy to invoke Devi just like that. I hope you understand. Yes or no? Though they are all great tapasvis, great jnanis, they are all qualified to perform the japa puja agni karyam, but it was not easy to just like that bring Devi actually. So somebody who can hold on to the time, somebody who can manage the time, somebody who can pause the time so that it doesn't grow more, because all of them are here, and anytime Bandasura can do anything further, right? So there was a freeze of the time that was to be given at that point of time when the Agni Karyam was happening. So the one who had that power was Kala Bhairavar. And where did Bhairavar got this Shakti to hold on to the time? It was Sakshat from Paradevata herself in her manifestation as Kali, because Kali is the one who's in charge for the time actually. Got it? So that is the introduction the Mahatmyam is giving actually to Bhairavar, how Bhairavar came into existence, and what is the role of Bhairavar, and after doing this Karyam, when Devi came out and all the other things, Bhairavar chose that, okay, I am choosing a city that I'm going to live in, and that is going to be Kashi. In that particular manner, it was considered to be the Kashi Kandam very specifically talks that because Bhairavar has chosen the space to be belonging to himself, it is considered to be a Punya Bhumi. It was considered to be the most purest of the purest space, because since time in itself wanted to stay in that space. That is, Bhairavar in the form of time wants to stay there. It seems that if you just understand, like imagine, like Kashi is the place where the staircases are there to go to any of the locums, it seems actually. Kashi specifically has, it is, or an elevator, because so many of you think yourself to be too old, right? So you will be put into that elevator, you will straight away taken to the other locum where you have to travel, it seems. So Kashi specifically has that elevator which connects the material world to the spiritual world. That is what Kashi Kandam is talking about, actually, because of the presence of Bhairavar. Because Bhairavar is living there, and that's the reason this is something very important. So with this introduction, I'll talk about the introduction in detail in different dimensions in the other classes. But with this introduction, let me introduce the pastime, the divine pastime of Chitragupta, because most of you know about Vishwanatha Swami, Visalakshi, Annapurani and all, which we will be covering. But today it is like, let me talk about, because it is Kala Bhairava Jayanti in connection, in connection with Kala Bhairavar, let us have this kind of an understanding about Chitragupta Swami. The Kashi Mahatmyam says that there was time when Surya Dev was in extreme of his, what to say, in extreme of his avirbhavam. Avirbhavam means in his personality. And what is the personality of Surya Dev? To emanate excess of heat. And what we understand is the Agni Nakshatra, the time of the Agni Nakshatra. So it was an intense period of Agni Nakshatra, it seems. And at that point of time, Surya Devata was in the Mesha Rasi. And right in front of him, it was Chandra Devata who was present in the Tula Rashi, completely the cool, because extremity of heat and extremity of cool. Both were in at a time when they were coming together, and it was Chitra. It was the month of, Chitra. Chitra is the month that was there, and it was the Chitra Nakshatra was the day. Chitra is the month, and Chitra means you find out the equivalent in whatever it is in your in your language. Please find it out from internet. So it was Chitra Nakshatra also. So all were coming together actually. Because why? Heat, cool, the month, and the nakshatra, everything was coming together for the divine pastime to unfold. And what was unfolding here? It was a time in Kailasha where Devi had a lot of pastimes, it seems. Devi, you know that in Lalita Sahasranamam, we know that she is Sangeeta Priya, Natya Priya, Gana Priya, everything. She loves so many things. So in one of the aspect is that she draws very well, it seems actually. Chitrakarini. She is called as Chitrakarini, which means that Ambal can draw very well, it seems. And particularly she will draw, it seems, when she's not having her husband around, because she doesn't have anybody to fight or jib or to constantly keep nabbing. Nothing is there. Na? So something should be productively should be done. I am not saying this. This the Kashi Mahatmyam itself is saying when she's so bored, so she lands up in doing any of these work. If otherwise, if Parameshwara is there, then she is so much engaged with him. So in that sense, so Shiva was not there. It seems maybe he's roaming around in some forest and doing something, whatever it is. The Kashi Mahatma is saying at that point of time, Parameshwara was not there. So Devi thought, okay, fine, let me do. I'm getting so bored. So she had decided to what? She wanted to do Chitrakaram actually. So what she did, she takes up all the equipments that she wanted and she started drawing, it seems. Okay. And after a while, it seems that Parameshwara came in and he saw the drawing. And the beauty that came out was there was a beautiful young child that Devi has drawn, it seems. And Parameshwara himself was very happy looking into the Chitram, it seems. And Parameshwara told Devi, it seems, my dear, I think if this child will come alive, it will be so nice, actually. Okay. And Devi smiled and she said, it seems, okay, your wish. So what Parameshwara does, he takes the painting just near to him and he just, his breath falls on the painting. Parameshwara's breath falls on the painting, and that young, beautiful boy who was drawn, he starts smiling into the Chitram actually. And then he comes out as a young boy from there. And Devi, and once the boy comes out, Devi decides that since he was born in Chitramasa, on the Chitra Nakshatram, in this particular cusp of sun and moon coming together, let us name him as Chitra. He should be called as Chitra Guptan. Guptan means a secret actually, because he is a secret between how he came into existence between, because see that is the understanding of the divine, the divine interplay of how the child coming into existence. It's not always through what is called as the the reproductive mechanisms that we know, but there are various other divine reproductive mechanisms that the child comes into existence, and that is so what is called as gupt means secret in our tantra, the understanding. So that with that understanding, he was called, Devi called him as, since he's a secret between us, so let us name him as Chitragupta. Or he was also called to be, because he was born on Chitra Nakshatra, and as we know in Tantra that each of the nakshatra in itself is a Devi Swarupam, so he was also called to be Chitraputra. Chitraputra. That was the understanding that was given. And also, since he came out of the Chitrakaram, as we understand in Sanskrit, Chitra means to draw. So because he came out from the drawing of Devi, he was called to be Chitraputra also. So it also talks about the nakshatram. It also talks about the activity from where he came out actually. Chitragupta came out at. So and then he was so also one more thing you have to understand from this, that we only know that Ganesha and Kartikeya are the only children of Parameshwara, but that is not the case actually. There are a lot of children, you know, including you, me, and everybody is a child of Parvati and Parameshwara. And very specifically, we understand that Chitragupta's existence is coming from Parvati and Parameshwara as this particular pastime is concerned. So Chitragupta is, he's like Skanda and Ganesha. He's also, his upbringing is happening in Kailasha. All the Ganas, he's playing around with Ganas, and he's been under the protective care of these Ganas. He's been growing and he's learning. Of course, we think that they are Bhuta Ganas. Let me tell you, they are the most exalted, educated individuals, it seems actually. So they are the ones who will be entertaining Ganesha, Kartikeya, Chitragupta, and everything, but they will be the ones who will be teaching, tuitioning, all giving the tuitions and feeding them and doing all the kinds of activity. So the taking this nanny care is not something that is new here. That is already there in Kailasa, and that is now coming into, we think that these are all new concepts, that is they exist exactly existing. We can see in our literature itself, we can see all these dimensions were there actually. So he's been all the upbringing is happening, all the education is taking place in the right sense. And once and since he has come into existence, that too through Parvati and Parameshwara, and the Kashi Kandam actually says that every individual has a purpose of birth, it seems very clearly it is saying, only the thing is that people should be able to realize it. And here in the case of Chitragupta, he is definitely having a purpose, and therefore the time of the purpose is coming very close by, it seems. So, meanwhile, what is happening? Yamadharma comes to visit Chitragupta. Yamadharma comes to visit Parameshwara. And Yama is coming with great grief, it seems. He was very sad. It is very unlike to Yamadharma to being very sad, okay? Because he doesn't, we have very rare instances in our Shastram where we see that Yama was very unhappy for something actually. He's always happy that he's getting rid of, people and making spaces, it seems. So he is never unhappy. So this was something very unusual of him to be very sad, and he has reached Parameshwara, it seems. So Parameshwara is asking, he's greeted and he was given, he was taken care nicely, and then he was made to sit near Parameshwara. And Parameshwara asked, what happened? Like, because definitely there is, if some karyam only we'll go and meet all the heads, right? Otherwise otherwise who will go and see? Only when there is some trouble, we will go to them. So he has gone there and like, okay, say he's saying, I've come with a great concern to you actually, because I'm not able to fulfill the duties that is given by the Trimurtis actually in a complete satisfied manner. So Parmeshwara is asking in return, so what happened actually? So he's saying, gone are the days, where people were only dharmic oriented. People were only doing punyam, there was no any, there was no concept of papam, there was like minimum it can be traced, and everybody was doing satkaryam. So to do what is called as to bring them to the Yamalokam and to transfer them to the other lokas wherever they were existing. It was a very easy job for me, actually. I didn't have any trouble doing all these activities until now, actually. Now that the Kali Yuga has started and people are so much, deviated, and I can see that they are involving in a lot of things which need to be governed, which need to be, which need to be documented, because otherwise they will claim that, what did I do? I didn't do anything. I am the most good person on this entire earth, and everybody is blaming me. So this is happening again and again in everywhere, and people are not able to recognize what are the wrong doing that they have been doing for themselves and for others, because of whatever the influence you talk about, because of the impact of the Kali, or because of the interaction, or because of the limited mindsets that people have reached in. But I am finding it very difficult to actually calculate what is called as the lifespan of individuals, because the more we are not centered towards our dharma, the more the number of breaths we are supposed to take will be decreased, it seems actually, the more we are not aligned towards the dharma. Because in today's fast world, we wanted things very fast. We are not worried about dharma. We are not worried about, we are not worried about shastram. We are not worried about the righteous way. We are not even worried, forget about not knowing dharma, we are not even worried about our own consciousness actually. We'll end up doing things which are so against even our own consciousness, just for those temporary things that we wanted, actually, particularly in terms of money. And that's what my guru will say one thing, when they will say that, like, the people are particularly, the people taking more money or doing XYZ aspects with the money. He will say that he will say these people are taking extra money, they are charging extra money, but you see, they will never become what is called as a crorepati, actually. And even if they land up becoming crorepati, they will never be satisfied, actually. So taking, like getting cheated by money, for example, this is the concept I'm just talking about, and like, so how to calculate? This was the question that it was placed in front of Parameshwara. So Parameshwara has understood the problem properly, and he has said now the Yama's department should be, it should be, it needs an expansion, actually. So what Parameshwara says, so I understood, but for this, the solution can be given only by Brahma. Brahma. Why? Because Brahma is the Shrishtikarta, as we all know. And Brahma is the original individual who's the head of department of all these aspects, actually, including Yama's activity and everything is a part of Brahma's department. See, this is the beauty we have to understand. If Parameshwara wanted, he could have given the solution, actually. But he was very respectful about the choices of the work that is segregated among themselves as Trinity, which is very important for us to recognize. Yes or no? He didn't open his mouth just like that to give advice, just the way we give free advices to everybody in today's time. They will not even be bothered about our advice, particularly our own children, like why why are you becoming a boomer? In today's language, we are called as boomer, like why don't become a boomer, actually. So Parameshwara very gently said that, okay, this has to be taken to Brahma. So let Brahma decide what needs to be done, because this the decision is purely in Brahma's hands. Whatever Brahma is deciding, we can work out accordingly. And this is what Parameshwara is saying. And Parameshwara is consoling Yama, saying that, okay, don't have to worry, things will be better, and you will be able to do your the assigned duties for you in the most perfect manner, and you don't have to really bother about this. So as Parameshwara said, of course, Yama felt very good about it, and he lands up going to Brahma's place. And once Yama lands up in Brahma's place, of course, the greeting and all the other things happen, and Brahma is like, and Brahma is happy with Yama's presence, and he's going to bring a solution for the problem that he's, because already Brahma knows this is what has happened, because there's a department, they all, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, work together, and this would have been definitely conveyed by Parameshwara that Yama has come in and I've said this and everything, and that kind of that background discussion would have happened. But still, Brahma takes the lead, saying that once after listening to the entire concern again, when it was put in front of Brahma, Brahma says that I have a solution for this, because there is this young boy who's called as Chitragupta, who's been who's been who has reached the age of a teenager, and he has learned all the shastram, and he's a very smart boy. I have seen him in Kailasa. So what we can do is that we can assign this duty to Chitragupta, because he will keep all the calculations of every individual, all the filing. So that from there, it actually started with that filing system, it seems. We all have a file with Chitragupta from the time we have been born until now, and tomorrow, day after tomorrow, until we are going to live within this body. So Chitragupta is having all the filing detail, it seems. And then once the shariram has to come to an end, and then the soul has to travel, at that point of time, Chitragupta will give the complete calculation, it seems. So based on the percentage of the calculation, we will be decided which locum we are supposed to go, actually, where we are supposed to travel. If the percentage of the calculation is so heinously on the negative side, then definitely you have what is called as a big kadai waiting for you with oil, where you will be nicely fried there, actually. If it is okay, negligible means some small, you'll be punished a little bit here and there, and then maybe you can. But if there is nothing means, then you will temporarily go to what is called as a Pitruloka. And you have to wait in the Pitruloka. And from there, you will be going. And then when the time will come, then another body will be assigned. Then from there you have to travel. But if you have done exemplary work, you have done exemplary work for being a philanthropist or whatever, in whatever dimensions, then you directly go to what is called as a Devaloka. And in Devaloka, you will still, you will enjoy everything, all the benefits of being in the Devaloka, but still you have to come back actually. You have to come back, and you have to come back to this material world and take a form. The only one who is doing sadhana, they will be assigned higher levels of lokam actually. Okay, from Brahmalokam, and then Kailasa, and then Vaikuntham, and then ultimately Shripuram actually. Like that, we can travel based on the dimensions. And as the higher lokas, as the higher or the highest loka, there is no coming back from there actually. It's a permanent ticket, one-way ticket. We just go and we reside there. There is nothing to come back. All these are very in detail. It is described in Upanishads and Tantras, specific Tantra Shastras. We can look into them in detail, what happens in the last moment, who comes in, what is all about. This kind of vivid descriptions are given, and how we should be prepared for it, how we should be able to react for that, even in those last moments, and why is that last moment is very important, and why we are preparing ourselves for that, is all very vividly described, and we can look into them later by the grace of Bhagavati sometime. But this is the basic idea that I am giving you. So who is having this file? Chitragupta is the one who is having this file actually. And it is very interesting for us. There is one interesting loophole for all of us here actually. Guess what? Chitragupta himself is a Devi Upasaka. So doing this Devi Upasana a little, Chitragupta might give us some better considerations. Between this is my theory, okay? Don't say I'm not quoting anywhere, because he's Devi Putra and he has done Devi Upasana. So I am assuming to my largest sensibilities that definitely there is some kind of a consideration for us actually. But instead of exploiting that consideration, I believe that we should do our duties properly, so that it will be easy for Chitragupta to recommend us, so wherever we actually deserve to belong to. Okay, so continue further. So Chitragupta was called immediately. He goes to the Brahmalokam, and he was introduced to Yama. All the greeting that happens, like they all, Yama is very happy. Chitragupta is also happy that finally he is getting a job opportunity and he's settling down job. Okay, and everybody's happy. Shiva and everybody's happy. Okay, fine. All the settlements are happening now, and it is going to go in the right way. And there comes the twist. Now you see who has come in at that point of time. Kala Bhairava Swami is manifesting in that place, it seems. And everybody's offering their namaskaram to Kala Bhairava Swami, actually, because he's the head, right? He's the one who's controlling the time. So including Chitragupta, Yama, and everybody's offering their namaskaram to Kala Bhairava Swami. So Kala Bhairava Swami says that, okay, I've heard all these discussions that has been taking place, and he has congratulated and wished Chitragupta, and he has also gave his wishes to Yama, because Yama is working in relationship with the time only. Actually, time is a very important thing. So in a way, directly, Kala Bhairava is the boss for Yama. Actually, Yama reports to Kala Bhairava. And he heard all these things, and Kala Bhairava Swami says that, good, everything is going to happen in the right way, but I have three important clauses for this now. For whatever you guys have decided, I have three important clauses which I wanted immediately to be put into place. Then both Yama and Chitragupta says, as you desire, we will do it actually. As you desire, we will do it. What is the first clause that Kala Bhairava Swami puts in? Any individual who will be wearing a Rudraksha, his 1/4 of the papam should be removed at the time of quitting the body. Anybody who's wearing a Rudraksha, 1/4. Okay. No matter whatever it is, you have to give 1/4 of discount immediately, should be given to them. They say, Tathastu, we accept. Both of them in a chorus voice, they will say, accept, because they have taken the oath taking, right? Oath taking ceremony has happened for Chitragupta. and everything is done. So tathastu, they're saying, okay, as you wish, we will do. Second one, very important. Anybody, any individual who has done mantra japam of Swami, any devata, okay, mantra japam they have done, half of their papam should be completely erased. Then you can decide about other calculations. So half mantra japam, if they have done, if they have taken the nama of Bhagavan, you know, then half should be completely wiped away. They say, அப்படியே ஆகட்டும், ததாஸ்து, we will accept it. The third aspect, that is the instruction that is going to Chitragupta and Yama. Anybody who will choose to spend the last moments of their life in Kashi, no matter however heinously they have done any papam, knowingly or unknowingly, their karma or their destination should be decided by me, not by you both. Okay? Their destination will be decided by me, not by you both. And whatever I would say, only you both would do it actually. And at that point of time, Kala Bhairava Swami is giving this clause actually in a very indirect manner. When we exert our power, we say, right, to people whom we invest power, we will say, see, you have been invested power, but remember, I am your boss. So like that, a similar statement Kala Bhairava Swami is making in this Kashi. Any bhuta, preta, pishascha, mohini, dakini, shakini, hakini, nobody can enter without even my permission. Even the breath, even the air which people are, inhaling and exhaling, it is flowing in Kashi with my permission. So remember whatever I told you very clearly. They say, definitely, very clearly we have understood. So whosoever is quitting the body in Kashi, based on your will and wish, what you decide, it will happen. How the soul has to travel, what would be happening to them, it can be purely decided by your wish. So this Kashi Mahatmyam, that this is the central of Kashi Mahatmyam, students. And the glories of Kashi Mahatmyam is what? Why people wanted to spend their last moments in Kashi, or they wanted their Antima Samskaram to be performed in the Harishchandra Ghat, is this is the foundation that the Shastram is showing actually. That the last moment of the human life, to make it better, though I have done many things, here and there, which could have been not on the right directions, but at least I should be given a chance. And that final chance is given in Kashi actually. The final moments of life and the final chance. Final means there is nothing more than that actually. That kind of a final thing. It's not like here, every time you ask for a final chance. No, it's the actual final chance for the human journey actually. That is unveiled or decided by the time in itself, that is Kala Bhairavar himself. And that's the very specific dimension why Kashi is the most important moksha puri in the entire understanding of the Shastras. And Bhairava Swami is saying that this is nullified. How actually? How the papam is nullified for somebody who's coming to Kashi. The first and the foremost thing he says is that the one who takes Ganga Snanam, the one who performs Ganga Snanam, Sankalpa Ganga Snanam, which is very important. Sankalpam. What is a Sangha? It's not like you go and take bath like in a swimming pool actually. You just dive into the Ganga and you enjoy bath. It is not like that. You have to perform the reason why you are taking bath in that Ganga, it seems actually. Then only it is considered to be an actual bath. Are you able to follow? Sankalpa means why you have come to Kashi and what is the reason you are taking bath in Ganga and why you are going to go around Kashi, Vishwanatha Swami, Annapurni, Kasi Visalakshi and Bhairavar and all the Sthalam. Why you have come in, you have to very specifically let Bhairava Swami to know, it seems. Now you will say, I don't know Sanskrit mantras to do Sankalpam. You don't have to say. Bhairavar understands all languages, so you can simply make a vow in your mind actually. So this is the reason I've come in Kashi and I wanted this to be fulfilled, or this is a reason, even for Mukti, Moksham, even for Bhogam also you went, even if you have some kind of desire to be fulfilled. You make that Sankalpam and then you take the holy dip in Ganga and then you proceed towards the darshan. Such a person who will do that, then his file, though Chitragupta will maintain it, but it is directly under the supervision of Kalabhairava Swami. Those files are directly into the supervision of Kalabhairava Swami. Like that, Chitragupta is coming into existence and Kalabhairava Swami is giving these directions of life dimensions to both Chitragupta and Yamadharma, and they are taking it forward. And from there, the next pastime that Kashi Mahatmyam is unveiling for us is about Pitru Tarpanam, because the concept of death is already being discussed here, or the afterlife is already being discussed here. What is the meaning of Pitru Tarpanam? And why it is very specific, it is to be done in Kashi. And how Ganga is a very important aspect into this, and what is the Avirbhavam or the Charitram of Ganga. Everything will be explained in the next Kashi Mahima. Thank you so much. Let me end the session with Mangalam. सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरि नारायणि नमोऽस्तुते जयन्ती मङ्गला काली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवा धात्री स्वाहा स्वदा नमोऽस्तुते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सर्वं श्रीचण्डी महालक्ष्मी अर्पणमस्तु तथास्तु Shri Kala Bhairava Swami ki jai. So whichever parts you are in, Bharata Desham or wherever you are, if you are celebrating Kalashtami or Kala Bhairava Jayanti, wishing all of you a very happy and a prosperous Bhagavan Anugraham. So let this unfold for all of us. Even those who are in South India, we also require Kala Bhairava Jayanti. Let me offer a prayer to all of you on the Kala Bhairava Jayanti. Sarve Deva Ayate Shri Kala Bhairava Swami Paripurna Kripa Kataksha सर्वाभीष्टबल सन्मङ्गलानि प्राप्तिरस्तु सम्पतामिति श्री कालभैरव स्वामी अनुग्रह प्रसादेन दीर्घ आयुष्य अनुग्रह दृढगात्र आरोग्य अनुग्रह श्री महाविद्या ब्रह्म विद्याम्बिका अनुग्रह प्रसादेन सर्वाभीष्टबल सिद्धिरस्तु तथास्तु श्री कालभैरवाय नमः श्री स्वर्णाकर्षण भैरवाय नमः. Thank you so much. Best wishes. See you in the next class. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Guruji.
Guruji.
Pranam Guruji.
Dhanyabad.
Namaskaram.
Dhanyabad, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you very much, Guruji.